Have you ever just felt like you weren't a math person? I think a lot of us have. Well, what if I told you the problem wasn't you, but maybe how you were taught to see it? Today, we're going to look at a totally different approach that makes math, well, click by turning all those abstract numbers into clear, simple pictures. So let me just ask you straight up, are you a math person? It's a question so many of us have asked ourselves, right? Usually when we're frustrated, staring at a problem that makes zero sense. It really can feel like you either get it or you don't. But here's the big idea we're exploring, and it's a game changer. The whole concept of a math brain is a total myth. Seriously, our brains are incredibly flexible. That feeling of not getting it, it usually has way less to do with our own abilities and so much more to do with a mismatch between how we learn and how math is traditionally taught. Okay, so let's dig into this math brain myth a little deeper. Because once you get this, it really is the first step to unlocking a whole new way of thinking. You know what's really fascinating is how our brains have different styles. Think about it. Some of us are very linear, very logical. We love rules, symbols, step-by-step processes, which sounds a lot like a typical math class, right? But then many of us are more holistic, more intuitive. We need to see the whole picture first. We respond to color, to concrete things we can imagine. The big problem is that traditional math teaching often speaks only to that first style, which can leave a whole lot of us feeling completely lost. But this is where everything changes. What happens when we actually engage all of our learning styles? Well, that's when seeing becomes understanding. I mean, we've all heard this a million times, and it is the absolute heart of visual math. Why should we rely only on confusing, abstract symbols when a simple picture can make the logic pop right off the page? Now, check out this number, 75%. Do you know what that is? That's the percentage of information we learn through our sense of sight, 75%. It is by far our most powerful learning sense. So why on earth wouldn't we use it for a subject like math? So this all leads to the secret sauce, whole brain learning. It's all about bridging that gap. You take the logical, step-by-step math concepts, and you pair them with visual, big-picture ideas. When you get both sides of your brain firing together, that's the magic moment. That's when you can finally see how it all makes sense. So enough talk, right? Let's put this into practice. We're going to take a look at a couple of classic math problems and see how a visual approach can make them finally, click. Okay, let's start with adding fractions. For so many people, this is where the trouble begins. Let's say you have 1/3 of a cookie and 1/4 of another cookie. How much do you actually have? You can't just add them because the pieces are totally different sizes. And that's where the confusion always starts. But what if we just visualize it? The problem isn't the numbers, it's the slice sizes. So think of finding a common denominator as just using a cookie cutter. Let's say we use a cutter that makes 12 equal slices. Now we can recut both of our original cookie parts into pieces that are all the same size. And just like that, look what happens. Our 1/3 piece becomes 4 of those new slices, 4/12. And our 1/4 piece becomes 3 slices, 3/12. Now that all the slices are the same size, we can just add them up. 4 plus 3 is 7. The answer is 7/12. Suddenly, it's not some abstract rule you have to memorize. It's something you can clearly see. It just clicks. All right, let's try another tricky one, the order of operations. You probably had to memorize PEMDAS or Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. It's just a long list of rules, and honestly, it's pretty easy to mess up if you're just relying on an acronym. But look what happens when we lay it out visually, step by step. You're not trying to hold it all in your head, you can just follow the path. First, we tackle what's inside the parentheses. Done. Then, the exponents. Easy. Next up, multiplication. And finally, we just add and subtract from left to right. This visual flow turns a really messy equation into a simple, manageable checklist. So now that you've seen this thing in action, let's talk about how you can start building your very own new math toolkit based on all these ideas. And this is probably the most important thing to remember. Thinking visually isn't a shortcut or some kind of trick. It is a powerful, legitimate tool for learning. It's really about using your brain's natural strengths to your own advantage. And here are some real, concrete strategies you can start using right away. Simple things, right? Like using different colors to highlight steps can actually help your brain organize and remember information. Or just taking a second to connect a formula to a bigger, real-world picture can make it stick in your head. These aren't just math tricks. They're powerful ways to make your entire brain a more effective learning machine. And that right there brings us to the biggest takeaway of all. This whole approach, it goes way beyond just solving for x. It's really about how you learn anything. It doesn't matter if it's physics, computer programming, or a new language. These principles of whole brain learning can help you tackle any complex subject by making it real and intuitive. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What else in your life could finally make sense if you just found a new way to see it?